In Esarhaddon, we recently had what is probably the largest bombshell revelation in terms of the map of Elan. So today, we're going to dig into that revelation. And if it isn't already obvious, this video contains a giant spoiler from Esarhaddon. So if you haven't read it yet, turn off this video, go read it, and come back. But for everyone else, let's get started. The revelation that I am of course speaking of is that there used to be a lot more of Elan than we see in the present day. Over 10,000 years ago, 3 of the 5 Riva who were facing defeat tried to sever the cords of reality, which overall failed, but they did succeed in destroying much of the continent. And this immediately brought out the curiosity in all of us. What did Ancient Elan look like? Now, we could try to use the clues given to us in Esarhaddon to reverse engineer the map of Elan, but that would be at best guesswork. So instead, I figured it might be easier to just try to rewind the time on the Elan Timeline Map and see if we were able to go back far enough. So let's open the Elan Timeline Map. We start during the time of Revelations around 2996 IR, so let's start rewinding. It looks like around 2124 we see the map from Esarhaddon. Now we're reaching the timeline during Fairlane. Okay, there goes the map from Nolan. And if we can get back to the year 0, here's the Legends map we're familiar with. But shoot, it looks like it won't let me go back any further though. Maybe we can try hacking it. Let's try it now. It looks like it's working. We are gonna have to go back quite far though. Wait for it. Wait for it. There! And here we have the map of Ancient Elan. Now let's give some context to this map. We can start with the 9 named regions from that time, some of which should sound familiar. We have Uber, which is still known by that name in modern times. Minogan, which still has islands that share that name. The name might also sound familiar, as the ancient Durayan clan called their gods the Minogan. Next is Hyphus, which shares the name with the body of water that now exists in that location in modern times, called the Strait of Hyphus. We have Kroon, which still bears that name during the time of Nolan. Dome, which the large mountain there, Dome Mountain, shares its name with. And Rune, which should sound familiar with the race that ended up settling there. And we also have 3 additional regions of Borgora, Rasa, and Vespa. We can also name this body of water in the center, which is the Araphis Sea. This is another familiar name, as Araphis is another ancient god of the humans, specifically Clan Tyr's god and the god of the sea, which makes quite a bit of sense as it seems to be the earliest named body of water. Next, the other large location-based revelation from Esarhaddon was that we finally learned the location of Erebus, so let's put that on the map. So now, let's walk through the events that occurred during the Great War. We know that Pharaoh left the city with her people and founded Surdia Ferilia, the city of Pharaoh. Then Drome left and founded Dorthanea, and finally Mari left and founded Marn. Eventually, Uberlin was able to defeat all 3, forcing their survivors to all retreat. Uberlin gave 3 of his Rivas the 3 cities, and of the 2 remaining Rivas, Hitarthian went to Barapathin, and Nexeria went to Arkham. But then, the infighting between the Rivas began, and the war between the races began to swing. The 3 centralized Rivas were pushed back to Orencia. It is at this point that the cataclysm occurred, which destroyed Hyphus and most of Meiningen. With the waters rushing in, the humans would flee their city of Odion, the name of which should sound familiar, as that is where Gath of Odion was from. They would cross the water to Kroon and eventually make their way to Rune, which explains their race's eventual naming. The dwarves would make their way down to Dome, and in the Dome Mountain, found the city of Neath. On a small note, there is a city along the path of the dwarves called Dantham. We don't have any information on this city, but maybe that is the city the dwarves established after fleeing Dorthanea. Perhaps future books such as Drumendor will shed some light on that city. But finally, the Frey, who are on the banks of a river, would meet a very special visitor who would lead them west to a very special place, and they would begin their civilization. So there you have it, the full map of Ancient Elan, and as Fairlane might say, its migration of peoples. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Be sure to subscribe and watch my other videos to learn more about the world of Elan and Riyria. Thanks!